Ladies and gentlemen, we present at this time an interview with Lou Gehrig. Lou, is baseball played differently now than when you first started playing?
Well, that's a difficult question. I think it was played harder, and it was made more difficult for the young man years ago than it is today. The young man 15, 20 years ago, when I broke in, had to go out and fight his way for a job. And the young man today is surrounded with the old-timers' advice and experience. So you can see readily where the difference lies.
Lou, what's your opinion of night baseball?
Well, night baseball is strictly a show and is strictly advantageous to the owner's pocketbook. But as far as being a true exhibition of baseball, I don't think I can say it is. And it's very hard and very difficult on the ball players themselves.
We often hear about ball players, Lou. Now, of course, the fans all have their favorites, but ball players see things that the fans don't see. So who would you say has been the ball player's ball player?
Well, there's no question about the three greatest and most outstanding ball players in the history of baseball have been Ruth, Cobb, and Wagner. Now, personally, Ruth was a typical fans ball player, and Cobb was a typical individual ball player because I believe he had more enemies on a ball field than any man in the history of baseball because he played it so hard and he thought of nobody. I mean, cutting or slashing or anything to gain his end, he went through. And yet I think Honus Wagner was a typical ball player's ball player or the manager's ball player because he was always thinking of winning and doing what he could for the other fellow and for himself and for his manager and for his ball club and for the fans.
That's Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and Honus Wagner.
That's right.
Do you think there's really a difference in the brand of baseball played in the National and in the American leagues?
Well, being an American leaguer, I'd be naturally prejudiced, but the difference is not exactly noticeable, I don't believe. But, of course, the American League will use the figures in the World Series and the All-Star games of the last 10 or 12 years as proof.
Do ball players read the sports sections as avidly as the fans, Lou? That is, read the sports pages, the write-ups of the day's games, and do they resent criticisms of sport writers?
They don't resent fair criticism, and they probably read the sport pages much more closely than the fan does, because ball players know how to read the box scores. They read down below, and they read everything very carefully, and they can probably give you more of a resume of the ball game from not being there than 99% of the people who were there. They can tell you more about it. That's how closely they can read that box score.
Are the pitchers able to get an idea of the weaknesses of various players from the box scores at all?
Definitely. We may have trouble with a certain type hitter. We may pitch him high, or we may pitch him low, and we may switch on him. We may do different things. And yet we'll see a certain type pitcher that will have success with him continually, and we know that his type of pitching will be a weakness, so we attempt to throw him accordingly.
You've got to have an education of some sort to play baseball, after all.
No question about it.
Do you believe that every young player should receive thorough seasoning in the minor leagues?
I don't think there's any question about that. There are very few Major League ball players in the history of the game that have proven themselves capable of jumping from sandlot or college into Major League Baseball.
It has often been proved by players who came up too soon and had to go back for seasoning.
Oh, no question about it.
Do the majority of ball players tighten up during a World Series game, or do they usually take it just as another game?
That depends entirely upon the individual's makeup. Now, personally, I always was as tight as a drum before the game, before the World Series game, the constant milling around, the hundreds of photographers, the hundreds of newspaper men, and the thousands of requests for autographs of the scorecards in baseball and things like that. They tend to tense a ball player up. But the minute that bell rang and the field was cleared and that first ball was thrown and the first ball hit my glove, why, I was just as relaxed, and it was just another ball game after that.
Yeah, are you in favor of the All-Star game?
Oh, I think it's a great thing. Great. I'm thrilled to death every time I can attend one, and you can imagine the thrill I can get when I was chosen to play in them.
The receipts from the All-Star game go to what?
They go to a benefit that ball players have among themselves, an organization that we pay $10 a year to, that take care of the older ball players in the event of sickness and inability to take care of themselves in their own old age.
Hello everyone, I spend a lot of time trying to get you guys nice videos, so please subscribe to this page, and please subscribe to my second page. The link to my second page is in the description section. Thank you.